Hello there and welcome to World News Program coming to you live on All 24 News. I'm your host, Kirin Zachary, and up next are the headlines. 84 martyrs, dozens wounded in 8 new massacres in Gaza. The Zionist war machine targets displaced in Khan Yunis. More bloodshed in the West Bank with 7 martyrs in Tulkarem camp raid. Palestinian factions unveil a new national unity agreement. Hamas backs the Beijing declaration, calling it a strong shield against foreign interventions in Gaza following the recent aggression. That's next. Also coming up, Algeria reaffirms its dedication to bolstering Africa's fight against terrorism. President Abdelmajid Tebboune meets with AFRICOM's commander, who highlights the potential for increased U.S.-Algeria military cooperation. And the World Bank hails Algeria's economic achievements. A new deal will advance a hydrogen transport corridor to Europe by September. And Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya are setting up a partnership council for employers. Stay tuned for more on these stories right after the break. Welcome again to the details. First in our news files, death toll from the intense Zionist bombardment on Khan Yunis has reached 89, with over 30 still trapped under rubble and 263 injured. The assault coincides with the forced displacement of tens of thousands of Palestinians amid dire humanitarian conditions. The details with Zahra Farjani in this report.
In Khan Yunis, Palestinians recurrently bury their martyrs, victims of the ongoing Zionist genocide in the region, which the occupation has turned into an open battlefield. This has resulted in the martyrdom of dozens of displaced and the injury of hundreds, with many martyrs' bodies still trapped under the rubble, as rescue teams are prevented from reaching them. For the second consecutive day, the occupation continues to bombard Khan Yunis from all directions, targeting the tents of the displaced without prior warning.
We were sitting at home, and suddenly the house collapsed on top of us. I found myself under the rubble. I don't know how to get out. I came to the hospital. My son and my daughter's child remained. We could not get them out. Today they went and found them martyred.
The escalation of the occupation east of Khan Yunis has forced the remaining displaced people in the area to move to the west of the province or any other region, amidst intense aerial and artillery bombardment under catastrophic humanitarian and medical conditions.
There is no income, everything is limited. A person barely has enough money for food and drink. And then suddenly, you're told now you have to leave. Without prior warning, suddenly rockets began falling on us.
The Zionist entity continues to deploy more soldiers, snipers, and heavy military equipment in Khan Yunis to carry out its aggression, which it claims will last for weeks. This renewed aggression, following the withdrawal of forces last April, reflects the occupation's authorities' desperation to achieve their goals, further fueled by their horrific massacres against innocent civilians.
Zionist raids in Gaza have left at least 19 Palestinians dead. 9, including women and children, were killed in a Sabra neighborhood. 6 more died and 10 were injured in Al-Burwayj camp bombing. In Jabalia, 4 martyrs were recovered from a targeted home. And in the past 24 hours, Zionist forces committed 8 new massacres in Gaza, killing 84 Palestinians and wounding 329. The death toll from the ongoing aggression has reached 39,000, with over 90,000 injured since October 7th. And on Tuesday, the World Health Organization warned of a troubling spread of epidemics in Gaza due to the collapse of the health system and infrastructure from ongoing Zionist aggression. Ayadil Sabarbekov, the head of the World Health Organization Health Emergency Team in Palestine, revealed that polio has been detected and warned of a potential global outbreak if containment measures aren't implemented.
I'm very worried about the outbreak of the disease in Gaza, and this concerns not only polio, but outbreaks of various infectious diseases. If proper health services are not available, Gazans in particular will become vulnerable to disease outbreaks. There is a high risk of the spread of the vaccine-derived polio virus in Gaza, not only because of its detection, but also because of the very poor situation regarding water sanitation. It might also spread internationally at a very difficult stage. Teams from the World Health Organization and the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, are scheduled to arrive in Gaza on Thursday to collect human stool samples as part of risk assessment efforts related to the detection of the virus. The evaluation, which we hope will be completed by the end of this week.
Moving on to occupied Palestine now. On Tuesday, Zionist forces intensified their aggression in the West Bank, expanding incursions into cities and towns. Drone strikes on Tulkarm camp killed 5 Palestinians and injured many others, while 2 young men were shot dead in Sa'ir, northeast of Al Khalil.
We honor the martyrs, the resistance leaders, and all the martyrs of our people to reaffirm that these pure bloods will not be in vain. Our people and their resistance will continue their rightful struggle in the path of our heroic martyrs against terrorism of the fascist occupation and its settler gangs. We salute the steadfastness and jihad of our people and our fighters in Tulkarm camp. We affirm that the assassination attempt will not break the backbone of the resistance, but rather strengthen our people's determination to continue the path of challenge and confrontation until the end of the occupation and the attainment of all our rights.
In other development, the Palestinian factions announced the achievement of comprehensive national unity that includes all forces within the framework of the PLO. A statement issued at the conclusion of a national meeting held by 14 Palestinian factions in Beijing at the official invitation of China and lasting for 2 days clarified that the agreement includes the formation of an interim national consensus government. And on Tuesday, Hamas praised the Beijing declaration as a key step toward national unity. They highlighted China's support for the Palestinian cause and appreciated the efforts made to achieve this declaration, noting its significant international impact.
We are signing an agreement for national unity, to say that the way to continue this path is our national unity, and that's why we are adhering to our national unity. We call for it and we won't let anything affect this national unity. Our dear brothers and friends, this is a historical moment. We ask God to help us achieve what we signed on.
For his part, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi expressed hope that the Palestinian factions will achieve national unity and establish an independent state soon. Commenting on the recent agreement in China, he emphasized that Beijing will continue to support efforts for Palestinian reconciliation and unity.
最核心的成果就是明确巴解组织
The core achievement is to make it clear that the Palestine Liberation Organization is the sole legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. The most prominent highlight has been the agreement on forming an interim national reconciliation government around the post-war governance of Gaza. The strongest call is for the realization of a truly independent Palestinian nation in accordance with the relevant United Nations resolutions.
To other international news now, and as you followed in our headlines on Tuesday, Algerian President Abdelmajid Tebboune met with AFRICOM Commander General Michael Langley. The meeting, attended by Army Chief of Staff General Saïd Chengriha and other senior officials, focused on strengthening military cooperation. And in this context, Algeria reiterated its commitment to enhancing continental security cooperation to combat terrorism. Army General Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, Saïd Chengriha, made this statement during a meeting with AFRICOM Commander General Michael Langley, who is visiting Algeria with a significant military delegation. Army General Chengriha emphasized support for African initiatives and Union efforts to address security challenges.
I want to reiterate my country's commitment to supporting any African initiative and to supporting the efforts of the African Union bodies so that the continent rises to the security challenges it faces. I also assure you of our full readiness to consolidate our bilateral military cooperation with a view to consulting more closely on the ways and means of realistically achieving the security objectives of the continent in general and the North Africa region in particular.
For his part, AFRICOM Commander General Michael Langley, during his visit to Algeria, emphasized the potential for enhancing bilateral military cooperation. He noted that the visit allowed him to discuss various international and regional security issues with Algerian military leaders. The World Bank lauded Algeria for its exceptional economic and environmental achievements this year. The report ranked Algeria among just 4 countries that have advanced from middle income to upper middle income status. Selma Nasib reports now.
A qualitative transformation witnessed by the Algerian economy. Its indicators were manifested in the transition from the category of lower middle income countries to the middle income, according to the latest report of the World Bank, making Algeria one of only 4 countries that succeeded in maintaining dynamic economic growth during 2023, as the GDP recorded an increase of 4.1%. The transformation was mainly due to the availability of several factors, which were reinforced by the strong performance in the fuel and non-fuel sectors and supported by the updates of the statistical system, which allowed a more accurate measurement of domestic product and made it possible to classify Algeria at the appropriate level of economic development. The World Bank report also showed that Algeria achieved the largest reduction in gas flaring globally in 2023, marking the 3rd consecutive year of decline in gas flaring emissions. In addition to a 2% reduction in oil production, the country managed to achieve an overall reduction of 3% in the intensity of burning, setting an example to follow in a year while global trends were not positive.
The process of changing the base year of the GDP series, completed in 2024, made it possible to more accurately assess the Algerian economy, thereby classifying the country into the category most suitable for its level of economic development. This underscores the importance of accurate data in guiding economic policies.
Ability to withstand the challenges of climate change. Algeria has supported and developed its energy program, building a strategy to revive renewable energy projects, diversifying the energy mix and promoting sustainable development, a direction supported by major international economic institutions, looking forward to a future with flexible and promising energy priorities.
Still with economy-related news, 5 companies from Algeria, Germany, Italy, and Austria will sign a memorandum of understanding next September to study the feasibility of the Southern Corridor project. This initiative aims to transport around 4 million tons of green hydrogen annually from Algeria to 3 European countries, according to Algeria's oil giant Sonatrach. in a similar context, Francisco Reines, CEO of Spanish company Naturgy, announced an agreement with Algerian firm Sonatrach on the natural gas purchase price for 2024. Reines emphasized that the deal reflects the strong historical relationship between the two companies and their commitment to securing supplies for the Iberian Peninsula, noting Sonatrach's reliability as a partner.
Naturgy recently reached an agreement with Sonatrach on the purchase price of Algerian natural gas for 2024. The closure of these latest negotiations proves the historical durability of the relationship between the parties and confirms the commitment of both companies to the security of supply to the Iberian Peninsula. Sonatrach has already proved to be a reliable partner.
And in regional news on Monday, employers' organizations from Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya agreed to form a partnership council to boost economic integration among the three nations. The council will focus on creating high-value investment partnerships and major development projects, particularly in border regions, and integrating these projects into global value chains. And in another continental news, Algerian Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf reaffirmed Algeria's commitment to African collective action and solutions to tackle multidimensional challenges. Speaking at an international forum on the Algerian Revolution's African dimension, Attaf, represented by Abdelhamid Ahmed Khouja, pledged Algeria's full support in addressing conflicts that threaten African security and stability.
كما ساهمت بلادي بكل ما أوتيت من إمكانيات.
My country, which contributed with all its available means to the liberation process of our continent and to breaking the chains of occupation that trapped its people, reaffirms today, under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, its commitment to common African action to prevent and settle conflicts on our continent to achieve economic development.
And in other news, Hamid Khalil Mayara, the Sahrawi ambassador to Angola, criticized Morocco's attempts to exclude the Sahrawi Republic from African Union summits as misleading. In statements to the Algerian news agency, Mayara emphasized that Morocco's efforts to impose a fait accompli have failed. He noted that the recent African Union Resolution 762 from the Ghana meeting did not mention excluding any member state from partnership summits.
Attempts by the Moroccan government to exclude the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic from African Union summits with foreign partners are deception and selling illusions. These rumors emerged just before the conclusion of a meeting of the Executive Council of Foreign Ministers from 55 member states in Accra, Ghana, held on July 18-19th. Which discussed participation in partnership summits and conferences.
Moving on to the United States now, Vice President Kamala Harris kicked off her campaign in Wisconsin on Tuesday, marking her first rally since becoming the likely Democratic presidential nominee. After disembarking Air Force 2 at Joint Base Andrews, Harris's candidacy is reshaping the election, offering voters a historic choice as the first black woman and Asian American to run for president. A recent Reuters Ipsos poll shows Harris leading Trump 44% to 42%. She secured the nomination on Monday by winning majority delegate pledges for next month's convention, following Biden's endorsement and withdrawal from the race.
So, Wisconsin, I am told as of this morning that we have earned the support of enough delegates to secure the Democratic nomination. And I am so very honored, and I pledge to you I will spend the coming weeks continuing to unite our party so that we are ready to win in November.
American media, meanwhile, reported on Tuesday that Kamala Harris's election campaign raised over $100 million from Sunday afternoon to Monday evening. More than 1.1 million people contributed to her campaign, pending her official nomination by the Democratic Party. Harris highlighted broad support for her campaign and noted contributions from the Democratic National Committee and its fundraising committees. Still with the United States, on Tuesday, Kimberly Chittle, head of the U.S. Secret Service, announced her resignation following the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at Pennsylvania rally. During a House investigation on Monday, Chittle admitted to security lapses on the day of the attack. And on Tuesday, Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives Mike Johnson announced the formation of a committee to investigate the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Johnson criticized Secret Service Director Kimberly Chittle for her unsatisfactory answers about the incident and called for Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris to resign, stating that he or she and President Biden are unfit to lead the country.
And distinguished members.
We have to rebuild the American people's faith and trust in the Secret Service as an agency. It has an incredibly important responsibility in protecting presidents, former presidents, and other officials in the executive branch, and we've got a lot of work to do. The task force that we'll be putting together is going to be very important. As I said, they have three responsibilities: to investigate what happened, the debacle that happened 2 Saturdays ago, to hold those accountable. It certainly was the director, Cheadle, but there may be others in the line of authority.
Time to catch up on more stories making headlines around the globe in the News in Brief by Sufyan Kinturi now.
Ukrainian forces attacked a Russian ship at the Crimean port, causing casualties among the crew. In response, Russia shot down 25 Ukrainian aircraft over the Black Sea and Crimea, intercepting several more across different regions. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro accused Western media on Monday of spreading false news about his upcoming presidential campaign. Speaking at a rally in San Cristobal, Maduro referred to Western media as assassins, criticizing their alleged manipulation and censorship of information regarding his election efforts. Landslides in southern Ethiopia have claimed 259 lives, with 100 more missing. An official from Gofa region reported at least 50 deaths, as relief efforts remain ongoing. The French government announced enhanced airspace protection measures for the Paris Olympics opening ceremony, including advanced security systems to detect and counter unauthorized overflights.
And with this, ladies and gentlemen, our news program comes to a close. For more updates, you can always follow our social media platforms. From me and the rest of the team, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, have a good one.